jumping up and down and saying, "Oh, you need to fix this. Oh, it works better in Mac OS 10." And it just distracts him from actually developing the application in a better way. One of project which I can think which did that was I think was was Ardour, and the other one is Inkscape. And I think one of them, I think Inkscape, was actually using the philosophy of Ardour when he decided to basically stick to Unix platforms instead of just going to this crowd of people who are very much kind of consumer oriented. They don't really want to contribute to the project as much as to see how much they can extract from it. So
yeah, I mean, I personally feel, and I mean, will the mono Ubuntu relationship ever change my mind about Ubuntu and whether I deploy it to new users? I don't think so. Only because, and like I've said before, I don't want to repeat myself, but for the people that haven't heard this before, I think migration away from a Microsoft dependency, which some people have had for a very long time, is a step-by-step process. I don't think it can be done overnight in one foul swoop, and I think the removal of all the proprietary formats that they've become accustomed to over the years is a step-by-step process. Ubuntu is a distribution which I put my name behind so many times, and in that I mean I put it on somebody's machine and I walk away. Now, if that machine works perfectly, fantastic, that's me happy. If it doesn't and they have to keep calling me back, then that's my name in mud, as it were, and I would have to and obviously I would no longer be seen as a person to go to get them away from Windows or their current computing experience. So you've got to put a lot of faith, well I certainly put a lot of faith in Ubuntu every time I get it deployed onto a new user's machine, and to be fair, it hasn't let me down yet. And I would hope, I'd have faith in those in the know and those in power at Canonical will have their heads screwed on and know the direction and have a better clue than I about what the future holds for Ubuntu, and make the right decisions. And that's really sort of as far as I can take it, because as you well know, Roy, the patent sort of issue and the issue of the patent trap is more your remit and not mine.
I'm personally interested in that. And I had people on several occasions since like 2007 urging me to like boycott Ubuntu or to create a website to do with that. And my explanation is always the same. First of all, Ubuntu actually, or Canonical Whopper, actually declined an offer for Microsoft to sign a patent deal, something similar to in 2007 Linspire and Zandros did. Now, the main thing here is that I try to get across to them is that Ubuntu is not the one creating Mono or creating the issue quite so much as Novell does. So Novell actually creates Mono, and many of the developers at Mono are trying to evangelize the platform. So Ubuntu happens to be a very big vehicle of Mono, but you have lots of distros doing the same thing. Ubuntu just happens to be the largest one, but the real issue is what actually produces Mono to begin with. And just so that people are generally aware, Mono is now containing Microsoft source code, which is MSPL licensed, and that's a Microsoft license which Microsoft can change at any time. And it's becoming more concerning because it becomes more apparent that basically it's been co-developed by Microsoft, it's been funded in some ways by Microsoft, in the sense that Novell is being paid by Microsoft to do all sorts of things. And we know about the threats because they talk about them more openly. The FSF is warned about it, Rockwell is warned about it, Jeremy Allison, and all sorts of people who are highly regarded, I would say, in the community. I worry about Ubuntu because I know I'm fine with Ubuntu becoming popular. I just want to make sure it keeps itself true to certain defenses and principles, because it can fall into traps that I saw Novell falling into before. So
I wonder, and it's something that's nagged me before. I wonder if, for the average user, and here we're talking about people that maybe spend their lives with Windows, they use their PC a lot like a toaster, they'll switch it on, they'll do the Facebook, whatever. And I wonder whether in some cases, or maybe many cases for the new user, that the Mono and its relationship with the Microsoft technologies might be a draw to Mono itself. People always like to feel familiar. Now, if you imagine a new user who has spent 9-10 years with Microsoft products and suddenly wants to jump to Linux but is very apprehensive, new system, new way of learning things, they might take comfort in having some relationship still with Microsoft. It's a little bit like wine. You see a lot of people when they first...
This is more of a developer issue, so this is... you have to remember that users, and it may include the developers themselves...
Oh yeah, no, sorry, I'm just making it clear.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, I
Uh,
was just going to make it clear. It wasn't so much. It was more aimed at the sort of the promotion, or not promotion, but the writing about and talking about
I,
the
I,
motto itself
I,
may be a draw to the user in respect of, go for it, Roy, go on.
I think most people run away from Microsoft when they come. I'm not sure if you'd agree with me that I know lots of people who come to Ubuntu because there is something they're unhappy with in Windows, in XP, like they have viruses, or maybe they're unhappy with Microsoft's business practices. I don't think they need the endorsement of Microsoft. People say, "Oh, it's Ubuntu. It's got some technologies from Microsoft." I say, "Oh, really? I used to use Microsoft. Oh, I have to get this Ubuntu." I don't
Yeah.
think it works like that. I think it has to be like the opposite. We'll say, "Oh, you know about Microsoft? Like it's not secure and you have all these bugs and things like that." I say, "Oh, Ubuntu, it's basically using this system called Unix, which has been around since like the 60s or something, and it's really stable and it's really powerful, and all the big businesses use that somewhere in the back room, and I think that impresses them more because they
Yeah.
want to get away from something and they want the opposite of that."
I think it's a great point. I completely agree with you. The only reason why I have this sort of doubt in the back of my mind whether people really feel comfortable with a complete break from Microsoft when they first come to Linux is purely on the people that have deployed Linux too. And one of the things I've noticed when I do my callback in a couple of weeks to find out how it's gone on and if they've had any issues and things like that, one of the things that they in 9 times out of 10 have done have installed Wine. So I'll ask them, well, what software did you want to run? Because I'm hoping that they'll say a certain package which say, well, there's a free and open source equivalent to that. You can install this instead. And 9 times out of 10, people install Wine and says, I don't know. I might want to run a Windows binary in the future. And so they've still got that sort of little bridge to
Yeah,
Microsoft. And I mean, you can see why in some cases because they've had 9-10 years of Microsoft product, maybe even more, where they've been using Microsoft products. It's not something that you just switch off. And there will be people who still believe that the only way is Microsoft, and Microsoft is the only person to provide software that can actually get the job done. I mean, I'll admit to you now, Roy, my wife, when I was showing her Linux one time, when I first put it on the machine completely, and I was showing how to use get onto the internet and everything like that. One of the questions she asked after how much did it cost? She says, well, why does Microsoft give it away? And she actually believes that Linux was made by Microsoft. And it's a very hard habit for people to break. And I think if you're not tech interested, maybe just use your PC like a toaster, then it makes that jump even more difficult. That's just a theory, but sorry, Roy.
I was just going to ask you about Wine. We could actually get some more statistics or even very small anecdotes or something like that. What I found is a lot of people want to keep their old applications, including myself, and to keep them in store, and I even back them up every night almost. Lots of very, very old applications which I used to be using in Windows 98. Now, the thing is, people keep their old applications sometimes, or I don't know if they keep their applications. I try to make sure I can open my old files, but it's like they keep their old mail. So people have mounds and mounds and mounds of mail that they will never read. And it's very likely they won't even read 1 in 1,000 in their entire life, but they want to keep that to know it's still there. What happens with lots of applications is that they assume that if they leave Outlook, they probably will want to go back to Outlook, or they're used to running the application. But once they get into let's say they open a Gmail account, and they use Gmail from the web interface, they probably will never need Outlook again, at least not in their house. Perhaps they will at work, but they want to know that the application is there just in case. And there is a certain period of time or a shelf life within which they can, decide, okay, I have not used it in a long time. I don't really miss that. I don't even remember how to use that. I don't remember the menus. And that's fine to give away and to give up on. Now, in my case, I have not used Wine since I basically all I ever did with Wine is I experimented with it around 2004, and only recently, for the first time since 2004, when I only experimented because I was curious to see how it works, I had to install it because there was one program to read an MRI imaging with metadata and all that sort of stuff. I had a CD which already had Windows binaries on it, and I just thought it's going to be convenient to just throw Wine onto it and just get it to work. And that was the first time I actually had to use anything like Wine. I could actually use MRI pictures and view them in Linux, but it was just easier to arrange from the CD as it was. So what I'm trying to say is a lot of people think they need their Windows applications. I'm not sure how many people will actually truly need them and